I'm Blake. He's Venky.
Hello.
We decided to do something a little bit different. Rather than Facebook coming here and trying to tell you everything that we do, we thought we'd take the next 40 minutes and kind of walk you through a little bit of a story. And we're going to try and introduce you to both companies and do so in a unique way. So I'm very pleased that Venky was able to come join us. We scrambled to get his time to get him down here because he's very much in demand around the world. And so I do want to say a big thank you for that. So, we can specific agenda. We're going to go through the two different companies. We're going to use some video. We're going to use multimedia. It won't be just a pure PowerPoint presentation because at the end of the day, that's not what you'd expect from either of our companies, I hope. We do believe there's a pretty unique opportunity. And so, I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where all over the world I get to interact with brands and see some of the innovations and things we're doing. And some of the themes we heard this morning, I think, are spot on with where the world's going around integration and innovation. We're going to talk a little bit about what we call partnership. And Venky's going to talk about this because we think the world's moving on from just pure media relationships. And we define partnership in a very specific way. And it does bring value to both companies and has to align at the deepest level of organizations. And then we're going to give some examples, specifically some of the brands and some of the work going on around the world within the Diageo family of products. It does require a different mindset. So I speak to lots and lots of folks around the world, and the one thing I ask people to do is to remove our traditional hats for a few minutes, especially in markets where digital's just starting to evolve. It's still fairly nascent. Take our hats off and just think about a little bit differently for the next 40, 45 minutes into what the possibilities are. I'm going to play a quick reel for you, a video. The two people that are primarily featured are Mark Zuckerberg, who's our 26-year-old CEO and founder, and a guy named Chris Cox, both of which I find are two of the most inspirational, fascinating people I've ever met in my life. But it gives you a perspective on the way that Facebook views the world and the role we think we're playing in a broad sense.
I always imagine, what are we doing in the world? What is Facebook actually doing? What's the point?
At any given point in time, there are the trends that are really shaping society. We just think that the world is better off when everyone has a voice.
Facebook is giving the power of distribution to every single person. No longer can people go make a law that can constrain the flow of ideas.
And our idea has always been that the real way to organize the world's information is people. And that's this completely bottom-up way of establishing for the whole world, what is the map of human connections?
We've always talked about this as a movement, not as a website. The reason why we've built a company is because I think a company is by far the best way to get the best people together and align their incentives around doing something great. We're kind of in the sweet spot now, and will be for the next few years, where the company is large enough that there's room for people to come in and experiment with things and have a lot of leverage in what they do. And it's also not so large that you're going to get lost in that, right? We build a lot of tools that make it so that engineers can have low friction for getting started in an idea, can get machines if they want to test something out, have a good environment to build things. We push code every single night. So it's really a magical time for the company, and a lot of great people are joining now because of that. We are way closer to the beginning of this than the end, and this is the type of thing that can get 1 billion people using it. And decisions that we make now and people who are joining now are really getting in at the ground floor in terms of shaping the direction that this is going to go in.
It doesn't mean we're recruiting people. It's just a great video that we do use to recruit engineers out in California. I have to also, one of my favorite companies in the world, and it's a company, Diageo is a company that a lot of us don't know. We think of the brands, we don't think of the company itself. And so the next reel, the next clip, and then the next few minutes, Venky's going to walk us through the Diageo portfolio and the family. And I think you'll see that the company is actually aligned pretty closely.
As a company, Diageo's purpose is celebrating life every day, everywhere. Our purpose is our guiding principle for every decision we make and every action we take. Our purpose has also been the guiding principle for what we are doing here with Facebook today. If you were to compare the purpose of Diageo to the purpose of Facebook, one thing becomes extremely clear. Facebook will succeed for the exact same reasons Diageo will succeed, and that is people socially connecting with each other in rich, rewarding, and meaningful ways. Our businesses are built on the exact same premise. Therefore, we see this partnership with Facebook as more than a transactional media deal. This is a partnership between two companies that is built on a shared purpose. There is one other extremely strong factor that links the DNA of Facebook to the DNA of Diageo. We at Diageo never forget that we are standing on the shoulders of giants. To a lot of people, Diageo is a big multinational company. But if you were to truly interrogate the history of our brands, you will find that each of our brands has been founded by an entrepreneur, a bold visionary who was unafraid to challenge the status quo. Some of them even wanted to change the world. Let me give you an example. Let me tell you the story of Smirnoff. The story of Smirnoff dates back to Imperial Russia, when the Tsars ran the country. In fact, our company used to supply wines and spirits to the Kremlin, but we all know what happened to the Tsars. In 1917 in Russia, there was a big revolution. The communists came to power, and all private businesses, including ours, were banned. In fact, Vladimir Smirnov was arrested and sentenced to death. And just as the firing squad was about to pull the trigger on him, he was granted a last-minute pardon. The warden of the prison actually did this to Vladimir Smirnov not once, but 5 times, because he wanted to mentally break down this aristocratic businessman. But on the 5th time, Vladimir managed to escape. He fled to Paris, where he arrived as a penniless immigrant. But thankfully, he knew how to do one thing extremely well. He knew how to make a fantastic vodka. So that's precisely what he did. He re-established the Smirnoff company in Paris. In 1930s, the Smirnoff brand made it to America, but we had one small problem. Nobody in America drank vodka. Americans drank beer, they drank whiskey, and they drank bourbon. Why would an American want to drink a strange spirit from Eastern Europe that is colorless, odorless, and flavorless? But that didn't stop the company.